When we work with fractions, we need to remember the rules associated with that. So when we add or subtract two fractions, we need a common denominator. For example, 3/4 minus 2/5. We need to find the lowest common denominator or multiple of 4 and 5. 4 and 5 go into 20. So 4 goes into 20, 5 times 3 times 5 is 15. 5 goes into 20 4 times, so 2 times 4 is 8. So we end up with 7/20. Occasionally we have fractions with mixed numbers. So let's say we have -3 and 2/3 plus -5 and 1/4. It's very hard to come up with the answer to this, leaving them as mixed numbers. So we need to convert these to improper fractions. Remember to do 3 times 3 plus 2, which would be 11/3, and then put the negative out in front. And with the adding the negative, your rules for working with numbers apply, and that will simplify to a minus. So that's going to be minus 5 and 1/4 is 5 times 4, which is 20, plus 1 is 21/4. In this case here, lowest common denominator would be 12. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times -11 is -44. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 times 21 is 63. And -44 take away 63 would be -107/12. As long as that answer is in lowest terms, you're probably fine with that. Or as a mixed number, that would be equal to -8 and 11/12. When we multiply fractions, we don't need a common denominator. But we need to multiply the numerators and denominators. For example, 3/4 times 2/7, let's say. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 7 is 28. That should be reduced. That 2 goes into both of those, so 3/14, and that would be in lowest terms. If we had mixed numbers, let's say we had 2 and 3/5 times -4/3. This would be 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13/5. In this case here, 13 times -4 is -52/15, and that would be in lowest terms. When we divide two fractions, the rule is to invert the fraction. Invert means flip. After the division sign. And change the operation to multiplication. For example, 3/4 divided by 2/5. If we flip the fraction after the division sign, this becomes 3/4 times 5/2. And then you would just use your rules for multiplication, which would be 15/8. Anyways, hope that helps. I'll do one more example. If, let's say, we had 3 and 4/7 divided by 5, say -5/14. Once again, we need to switch a mixed number to an improper fraction. 3 times 7 is 21, plus 4 is 25/7. And divided by, really should have put brackets around this, times 14/-5. Normally keep the negatives with the numerator. One thing, I don't know whether you remember from when you studied this in school, these are going to be pretty big numbers. As long as you reduce something from a numerator and denominator, that will make the numbers smaller and easier to multiply. So in this case here, 7 goes into 7 once, and it goes into 14 twice. Looking at the other diagonal, 5 goes into 5 once and into 25 5 times. Makes the numbers smaller, makes the answer to multiplication easier, but as you can see, it's a little messy. you end up with negative 10 on top and 1 times 1 on the bottom, which equals negative 10.